This week on Supercars Talk, I preview the Pirtek Perth SuperNight. That's right. This weekend, the racing's on at night, and they've called it the SuperNight, which is a bit of a mouthful, as you probably saw me struggle through on the intro. Also, as you can see around here, a little bit of change to the set. Weather hasn't been so kind to me, and I've kind of ran out of time, so it's a bit of a work in progress at the moment, but we'll get there. So some changes for this weekend. Another parity adjustment on the Mustangs. They've decided that after at Phillip Island, they decided the Mustangs were still a bit too fast. Apparently they're making a bit more downforce than what they thought they were, something like that. So they've decided to slow them down a bit. They're doing this by those massive rear wing end plates are a bit smaller. I'll put a photo up there, but they don't look too much different at the moment. If you look really closely, you can see some differences, but it's not really pronounced. They've trimmed also the gurney flap that's on the rear wing. You can see on the rear wing there, they have a little gurney flap on the back that's it varies on the cars, but you know, kind of somewhere around 5-10 mil. They've trimmed that. I don't know how much. And they've also trimmed the front under tray, which that's the bit that underneath the front bumper there, there's kind of on the bottom, there's the under tray that lips up. That makes some downforce. They've trimmed some off that. Don't know how much as well. Just been told that they've trimmed them. And that's to even out the downforce. So they've taken a little bit off the front and a little bit off the rear to make sure the car's still stable. Now, there's been a lot of talk about this during the week. Of course, all the Ford fans saying it's not fair, and I suppose the Holden fans saying it's about time. It's it's not fair that their car was not built within the rules. Well, unfortunately, it was built within the rules. The rules are a bit vague in certain areas. When the Mustang first came out, I looked at it and I went, they've really pushed that here, and I think the big thing is that they have built it to the rules, but they've kind of pushed the grey areas as far as they can. And I think what Supercars is trying to do, rather than penalise the Ford team so much, is to stop other people wanting to do the same thing. So basically, if this is in response to what Holden did with the ZB Commodore. So Holden had kind of pushed the envelope just a little bit, and they got away with it. So I think Ford kind of went, well, if they can get away with this, we're going to have a big crack at this. So they've really pushed it as far as they possibly can. But essentially what would then happen is Holden goes, right, we can't win. We'll push it a little bit further. And then everyone just keeps pushing, and it just costs mega dollars each year for them to all re-engineer the cars every year. And then you get someone like the Kellys with the Nissan car, that basically then they just get left miles behind, and they're forced to end up in it. You would nearly consider swapping whoever was homologating a car each year, I think, if the position got like that, because you know whoever's bringing out the latest one's going to be the fastest. So basically, instead of punishing the Ford, say, it's just to try and bring them all back even. So the cars are actually even, and it's the engineers and the individual teams that make the difference, rather than, if you've got a Mustang, you can go out and win. Basically, we don't want it to be like Formula One, whereas you got a Mercedes, you just go out and easily win. We want it so that everyone has an equal chance. It doesn't matter if you have an Altima, a Commodore, a Mustang, or hopefully something else coming in soon. That basically whatever car you have an equal chance of winning. So that's about all I want to cover on the parity. I could go on a bit for hours. You want to see comments on notice boards out there, and there's I'll just say there's, I read a comment the other day from John Bow. You may remember him from back in the old days. He used to race, and he brought up about, back in 1995, the Falcon got slowed down in the middle of the season. Well, everyone has a sob story, and because you're a diehard Ford man, you're just looking at that side of the ledger. There was times that the Holdens were slowed down, there's times that the Fords are slowed down, there's times that the Holdens have got a free kick, and there's times that the Fords have got a free kick, Let's not bring up the past, let's look at what's happening right now. I think this is probably the right decision. It'd be interesting to see where the kind of Mustangs end up in the field. I imagine that McLaughlin's still going to be right at the front. Coulthard probably will be too. The Tickford guys probably going to, fall back in line a bit, probably a bit more where they were last year. The other thing that's this weekend that's quite divided opinion between fans, Channel 10's decided they're going to televise this whole, the races live this weekend. This isn't part of their original package of, I think it's 6 races live during the year, but they're, out of the goodness of their hearts, they're going to televise it live. With it being the night racing, it will be quite interesting to see what kind of ratings they get off it, and it might shut some people up for 5 minutes. I've probably been pretty vocal on the whole Foxtel thing. I think if you're a true fan of the sport, you probably, you can get KO now for, I think it's $25 a month. And I haven't got it, I've got Foxtel, but I've got a couple of friends who've got KO. They reckon it's brilliant. And I think I like being able to record the Foxtel stuff and that, whether the KO has to be streamed. But I think possibly I might even make a shift into the KO because it is, kind of, I'm spending, I think it's about $60 a month on the Foxtel because you've got to buy the base package and then you've got to get the sports package and you've got to have it in HD as well, which they charge you for all of that. But I think as a big fan of the sport and Formula One as well, won't get into what they've done with IndyCar this year because that's quite frustrating, and I understand NASCAR's been pulled as well. But I think if you're a big fan of the sport, you find like I don't spend money in other places so I can have my Foxtel and watch the sport. But good news this weekend, Channel 10 is going to televise the races live, so that'll shut up some people for 5 minutes saying that they can't watch it because apparently if you don't want to pay for Foxtel and you apparently can't watch highlights package. Back in the 90s, that's all we got, so shut up. So this weekend, Brad Jones they're running a wild card again. This time for Tim Blanchard. He was the full-time driver last year in the 3rd car of theirs. He's part of the Cool Drive family, and he actually owns the car that Macaulay Jones is racing this year. He doesn't own the car; it's Brad Jones' car. But he owns the racing entitlement contract that the car races under. So he's apparently he's going to be racing with Nick Percat in the endurance races. That's a rumor at the moment. So I think he's using this weekend to get some experience, a bit more time behind the wheel. I think it's a great idea. And another great thing is they've brought in a new sponsor, Petronas. Now, apparently this is some kind of contra deal that the Cool Drive business sells Petronas products in Australia. Hopefully this is a proper sponsorship deal. When it was first kind of rumoured that he was going to be doing this weekend, I figured we'd probably just see kind of 2 Cool Drive cars. See him and Macaulay down the back of the field running around looking like each other. But it looks like a proper sponsorship deal, so hopefully it is, and hopefully this turns into something bigger and better for the future. Now, of course, the other BJR car there, Nick Percat, haven't seen his sponsorship or paint job for the weekend. Hopefully it's another good looking one. They've had a couple of good looking ones for the year, and it'll be quite interesting to see what this weekend brings. So speaking of the weekend, It is the Super Night race. So we've got night racing. The weekend starts on Thursday. That'd be nice. There's one practice session on the Thursday, and then Friday we've got a practice session, the knockout qualifying, and then a 50-odd lap race on the Friday night. Now the races start at 6:45 over in Perth. So on the right side of Australia, that's an 8:45 start. So 50 laps around there. They're about kind of 50 seconds a lap. So add in a couple of safety cars that we don't have to worry about pits and stuff this weekend. Back to normal rules on Parc Fermé and safety cars for the weekend. But that aside, race should probably take somewhere around 50 minutes, I suppose. So it won't be too late at night. Then on Saturday we got the same format, but the race is about 80 laps, so probably somewhere around that hour and a half for the race. Now, form guide for the weekend. I can't see really anything changing too much. I think we're still going to see Scotty up the front in his nobbled Mustang. Be interesting to see what happens with the Triple Eight boys, whether they can kind of challenge. Bit of a dark horse for the weekend, I reckon possibly Will Davison. He's gone quite well there in the past, and you know, they've been showing a bit of speed, those Mustangs. I mean, Chaz is usually at the front of the Tickford pack too, so can't kind of discount him. And then, yeah, you know, it'll be the usual suspects. I think Dave Reynolds will kind of be up there, and, you know, of course, the Triple Eight guys. Let's hope we have some surprises, though. So that's my preview of the Pirtek Perth SuperNight. That'll be on this weekend, and I'll see you later.
Put away your inhibitions, let the beast in you just get loose. We all young, wild and